So thank you for all the people who are here. I think we thought we'll be not having any participant.
But we
So
do
let
have.
us forget, first thing is, please forget whatever you learnt in the last 2 days about ophthalmology and cataract surgery, extraocular, intraocular, all these things, because whatever I'm going to talk over the next 15-20 minutes will not have anything related to ophthalmology, because what you have learnt is basically skill based, like how do I do a good cataract surgery, or how do I do a good lacrimal gland surgery. But skill alone is not enough to reach a scale. So there is a difference between, as an ophthalmologist, when you start working or when you start doing surgeries, you are mostly skill dependent. But how do you kind of create a larger kind of an enterprise? Because you cannot create a larger enterprise by being an self-employed person. Because I don't know if you have learnt about this cash flow quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, where you can divide people into 4 quadrants. Like any professional, you can divide into 4, or any kind of people we can divide into 4. One is an employed. So when you work for somebody, you are employed. So you work for a hospital, you work for the government, you are an employed person. Second thing is self-employed. So when you start your own clinic and then you start working on that, so you think that you are starting a business, but actually you are self-employed, because you are seeing patients every day, you are doing the surgeries. So in a self-employed, the risks are minimal, but the ability to scale up is also restricted. So the third quadrant is entrepreneur. So when you start multiple hospitals and employ other people in your hospital, then you become an entrepreneur, where you have a business system which is going to generate revenue for you and create that legacy for you. The fourth quadrant is investor. So when you are investing in somebody else's business, so let's say you buy shares in Center for Sight, or you buy shares in Agarwal Eye Hospital, or even another unrelated company, so you become an investor. So the most successful, skillful people are who are mostly investors. But basically you can be part of all the 4 also. You can be either employed, you also have your self-employment, you be a part of a business, and also you can also be an investor. So what if everything we have been taught right from the beginning of our life, like you study well, you can do well in life, you be the first in everything, you can be the best, you become the best surgeon, you can be the best. But what we understand as we go ahead in life is, like, see, who are the most successful. I'm not meaning success only by the way of revenue generation, but who has created more enterprises, more legacy. Even in our classes, I think the last benches whom we thought that they will never become successful are the people who have become more successful. They have created legacy. So whatever we have been taught, let me be the best surgeon, let me be study well, let me be the first, let me be the best. Actually, whatever we are taught in life that we will succeed is actually wrong. So basically, I'm not contending that being a doctor is wrong, but a lot of things doesn't work in reality. So I think we need to have that mindset change if we really have to succeed in life. So in fact, we think that, okay, if I become an oculoplasty surgeon, or if I become a neuro-ophthalmologist, or if I specialize more and more, am I going to be more successful? But actually it's the reverse. If you see, most of the time the general ophthalmologist succeeds more than a specialist, or most of the time the MBBS doctor succeeds more than a specialist doctor. In fact, the largest of the hospitals are being run by non-medical people, or even people who are MBBS doctors. Like Apollo Hospital, Dr. Pratap Reddy doesn't practice, or even largest eye hospitals, I think majority of the doctors who run the hospital are not practitioners. So lot of things which we think that we have been taught to succeed in life is wrong. I think if we have to start approaching life from that way, I think it is easier to create that legacy and success. So And these giant sequoia trees, you see these big trees when you get into the forest, many of them are not grown in a single day. So it takes lots of years. Even the mountains have been created over millions of years. So lot of enterprises also take a lot of time to develop, and this concept is called quiet compounding. So it's not that these large institutions like LV Prasad or Shankar Nethralaya, they have not been developed in one single day. Or so basically, for you also to develop, I think you have to change that mindset from being a skill-based practitioner to a scale-based entrepreneur. So if you see people who have created these large organizations, they are more entrepreneurs than clinicians. So if you are right now, I spoke with one doctor. He is building a 30,000 square feet eye hospital in a place in Maharashtra. So I told him the first thing is he has to, till now he has been a clinician till he starts that building. But after he starts a 30,000 square feet, I don't think as a single person he will be able to satisfy the needs, and maybe there should be a potential of 200 to 50 patients coming in a day. So he needs to think about how to change himself from the clinician into the entrepreneur. And now he is 35 years of age, so he needs to think that how do I grow like this sequoia tree. Maybe when he is 65 he needs to have this large institution, and it takes lot of time, lot of effort, lot of skills also, which a doctor also needs to accumulate to have this quiet compounding. So other biggest problem is, right, even before we started this session, most of the time we were thinking about what we are doing and how I do my surgery or how I get oculoplasty patients. But I think that is, we should also spend a lot of time about what we should be doing to have that larger vision in life. So if you follow Naval Ravikant, a lot of the times there are certain concepts which he thinks that, so there is a difference between working in the business and working on the business. So working in is like you go into your clinic every day, you see patients, you do surgeries, that is working in the business. But if you have to really create a larger enterprise, you have to start working on the business. So how do my practice, what do I do after 5 years, or how do I convert my single practitioner clinic into a 5-doctor clinic, or how do I convert my one surgical location into 10 locations. I think you should start working on the business. So basically majority of the times our time is spent working in the business. So as a doctor, I think people who are more enterprise creators are people who have started working on the business. So you need to move away most of the time. Let's say 80% of the time you still focus on clinical ophthalmology, but maybe at least 20% of the time you should start working on the business. So so you should be thinking about what you should be doing. So, and think in a corporate way. Even if you have a small clinic now, but what does it take for you to corporatize that clinic? What does it take to think like a bigger organization? So if you had listened to Dr. G.N. Rao's talk during the inaugural session, so he brought in a lot of points like how do you incorporate teleophthalmology, how do you collaborate with people. So basically start thinking as a corporate organization right from the beginning. And a corporate organization meaning it has to be a private limited company, and then you have to bring more professional market insights. There should be processes involved. So even if you are having a single person clinic with 2-3 staff only, but even from those time also you can think in a corporate way. So what are the processes which an organization like Center for Sight be having in my hospital? So why don't you think that way? So if you start thinking as a corporate, even when you are a smaller organization also, I think that is when you will really become a corporate after 10 years, 15 years. So it will also include establishing a leadership board, introducing processes such as audit, accounting, HR, marketing, sales, technology. So all these things have to be brought into that organization if you have to think of growing, and if you want to move from a skill-based person to a scale-based person. So basically as one doctor we are limited because we can only see so many number of patients in a day. But let's say you can see 30 patients in a day, but how do you equip yourself, add up more doctors so you can see 300 patients in a day? So your time can be, if you have 10 doctors, 8 or 10 doctors collaborating with you, I think you have that, even if you have limited time of 10 hours only every day, but the scale of what you can do can be improved. I think another important thing is you need to really understand your business model. So business model is based on volume, margin and growth. Volume is number of patients you can see. Margin is what is the profit margin you make, and growth, what is the growth you have. So every business will rotate on these lines. So you have to apply this VMG filter, volume, margin, growth filter. So there are certain products, for example, let's say toothpaste. The volume is high, the margin is high because Colgate is a big brand, but growth in that segment is low because there are only so many number of people, they can only brush once a day or maybe twice a day. So the volume is high, margin is high, but growth is low. On the other hand, there are some businesses where the volume is high. For example, financial advisory services or technology companies, margin might be low, but the growth potential is high. For example, if you take a mutual fund advisory service, so now only 6% of the population is buying mutual fund. So there is a huge potential to grow. But the medical practice, the problem is basically you are limited by volume because you can only see so many number of patients in a day. And your margin is decided by other people. So you cannot charge 2 lakh rupees for a cataract surgery because it also depends on the surrounding, what is the other person charging. Growth can be high, but if you want to focus on that high growth, I think you need to focus on scaling up. And there are other products which there is a low volume but high margin, high growth. For example, BMW car. But there are only a few doctors who can charge that premium. So how many doctors in India charge 2,000 rupees as consultation fees? Or how many doctors in India can charge more than 1.5 lakh rupees for a cataract surgery? Maybe there are 10 people, 15 people in India. So basically you have to focus on the middle segment, understand that there are limitations in a clinical practice. Basically the volume is limited because we can see so many number only, and the margin is also low. Only way to scale up, only way to improve is collaborating with other doctors, collaborating with other people, and only if you collaborate, I think you can grow. So the mindset has to change. We have to understand our deficiency and use it to our advantage to scale up. I think I am not confused, you understood this point. So applying this VMG filter for every kind of business is very important. So how do you scale up? So scaling up from 100 patients or 20, 50 patients in a day to 100 requires a very clear vision. So, and then like, what do I want to become after 5 years? What do I want to become after 20 years? Or how do I exit my practice? And having this vision is very important, and having a clear vision and what is the key ingredient of this vision. So basically it's not, I wanted to be the best surgeon, I want to do the toughest of the surgery, need not be the key ingredient. But your key ingredient can be, oh, India has only so many diabetic people, so how do I reach a larger number of diabetic population? So something like that, which is a broad-based vision, is important. For example, as a single person, you can only build a tent kind of a thing. So maybe most of our hospitals, most of the individual practices in India are run by single practitioners, but under his own control and guidance. But if you want to build this larger house, which is like a corporate hospital, you need a collaboration with lot of people. One person cannot build this larger kind of a house, so larger mansion. So to do that, you need to collaborate. So as a single clinic, and if you want to be an institution builder, I think you need to collaborate, have the usage of lot of more colleagues, lot more technology, lot more experts, lot more processes, everything has to come into place. I think this is the most important slide. This is also from Naval Ravikant. If you are earning with your time, like going to your clinic every day, your growth can be on the, what you see on the left side. So basically you are renting out your time. You can only earn, or you can only develop as much as your time. So if you are not going to the clinic for 1 month, so you will not be having that earning. So majority of the time we try to earn with the time, but how do you think of earning with your mind? So the successful entrepreneurs have thought of how do they collaborate, how do they create systems which can help them earn with their mind. So I think this is something which we have to take it into consideration and understand that most of the time as ophthalmologist we are earning with our time. So we are no different than please don't mistake me, so we are no different than a plumber or an electrician or a highly skilled technician. So we rent out our time and we earn with our time, and in this process we don't have time to do whatever we are passionate about, because many times we fool ourselves, many doctors tell, oh, for me practicing is the best thing, surgery is the best thing. Okay, but seeing patients and surgery is not the only thing needed in life. So there are doctors who are 70, 75, still they keep operating, but maybe there are other facets also in life. Why should you only keep operating? Why should you only see patients? So think of how can you earn with your mind. I think if you can get this concept, go home and think about this point, and if you can think about earning with your mind, that is something I think I would have driven the point to all of you. The other important thing which we fail to do is leverage. So basically this big block of iron cannot be lifted by this woman, but when you have a pivot, you can leverage. You can use that pivot as a leverage. So even with less effort, you can lift a heavy load. So there was this king, I read recently, there is a book called Obstacles Are the Way. So there was a king who put a big block of stone on the way to that kingdom. So he thought, how will people handle it? So many of them were coming, trying to push it, and then they were all cursing the king, until one farmer or a peasant came and he used a big rod to move that boulder of stone, and he found that under the boulder there was a pot of gold. So basically we can use leverage. This OP is very important, other people. So this is also an important slide. I think you have to concentrate on this. So OP is other people, so you have to start using other people's time. So basically you get experts, get your friends, get your colleagues, get other doctors, make them work for you. I think you have to be selfish and make them use other people's time. OPM is other people's money, so you cannot use only your money to grow. All these larger organizations, they have always used other people's money, either it's investors' money, or either it's money from banks, or maybe donated money. So you also have to find out ways to use other people's money. OPK is other people's knowledge. So how do you employ more people who are more skillful, more talented than you? And OPS is other people's skill. So you may be a cataract surgeon, but how do you use the skill of oculoplasty or retina surgeon? Or OPE is other people's effort. OPI is other people's investment. It is almost similar to other people's or other people's innovation. So it is like, I don't think there is anything shameful in this. I think you have to start thinking the most successful enterprises are created by using OP. So the more you use other people, the more you can grow. So don't use only yourself, your skill, your time, your money, your knowledge. Think of how do we use the knowledge, skill, time, money and everything from other people. So if you can leverage, I think that is when you can actually grow. So other thing is inspiration, and so we get inspired to do a lot of things. Basically, let's say you want to start a new facility, or you want to start consulting in another hospital, or you want to start investing. So the problem with inspiration is always perishable. Let's say if you postpone it by 1 week, so you don't get that inspiration. So basically, whenever you have that inspiration to do something, you have to start acting upon it immediately. So you can be impatient in your action, but patient in your result. So basically, start working on it, whatever you think you want to do. So tomorrow you want to, maybe there should be a logic also. I'm not telling you have to take a huge loan to start a 50 crore hospital tomorrow, but even smaller things, like you plan to attend a management workshop, or you want to do a staff training, or you want to equip yourself, or you even want to travel somewhere. Whenever you have that inspiration, you have to act on it immediately, because inspiration is many times perishable. So if you think about it for 1 week, 10 days, 15 days, then you lose the interest, you forget it. So be impatient in your action, but don't be patient for your results. So act immediately. Results as the sequoia tree comes will take time. So some interesting, I think majority of the time I lost a lot of projects because I get inspired to do something, but I don't do it. So then I postpone it. I just keep delaying it for a month or so. Then I think majority of the time it goes. Something very important, which I think all of you would have observed. So whenever you get inspired, act on it immediately. So other common myth we have is whenever we start a hospital, we think that we are running a business, but actually we are not running a business. We are in a self-employed profession. So because you are really running a business when you have these systems, processes, other people, everybody working. Even if you don't go to the hospital for 1 month, your business should run properly, revenue should be there on the same way. Or you have these 10 multiple hospitals, there should be a system and process which is working on it, where you can kind of the organization still runs. I'm not telling that everybody should be starting your own hospital. I'm not telling that only if you are starting your own hospital you are successful, but even if you are running a smaller clinic also, but maybe you think of running it in a professional business kind of a way. I think that is important, because everybody is not made to run large enterprises. Maybe people are there only to be employed, still it is good, but people are self-employed, that is also fine. But if you are in any kind of segment, wherever you are, you can still apply these concepts and create your own legacy. So that is important. So if you are running your small eye hospital, I think in India there are 6,000 to 7,000 smaller eye hospitals. Majority of them are self-employed businesses, and they are not really an entrepreneurial business. So you need to understand that. I think this I already explained. So be impatient with your actions. So the results will take a lot of time to come, and be patient for the results to come. So another biggest problem, we want to do everything ourselves. So if you are also having that mindset to outsource a lot of things in your practice, like even the HR management or your staff management, if you kind of outsource a lot of things, you have time to scale and grow. So other biggest problem is we are also not, we see everybody as a competition. So basically we don't want to collaborate with other doctors, because we see the next person or our colleague always as a competitor. So we should always think, move on from that mind of competition to collaboration. So the biggest of the organizations have been created because of multiple collaborations which have been formed by a lot of people. So for example, I think Dr. Devanshu studied in Spain. So Spain, there is this largest pediatric hospital which wanted to start a pediatric campaign. They wanted to do a marketing campaign. This is an example to say that you can collaborate with anybody. You don't have to collaborate only with doctors. So this hospital wanted to create a huge, I don't know if I have that picture. Okay. So this hospital wanted to create a marketing campaign for the children, and then they thought of, so normally a pediatric hospital, how do they think is, maybe they will think, okay, let me organize pediatric camps, let me collaborate with other physicians. So this hospital thought in a different way. So they thought, why don't we collaborate? Because the biggest problem children were having in Spain is just like what we have in India. They were carrying these heavy bags to school, and there was spinal problems. The parents were always worried that, oh, my child is being made to carry such a heavy load. So they went to this biggest bag maker in Spain called Miguel Rees, and they said, design a bag which will put less strain on the spinal cord of the children. So then the hospital, I cannot pronounce the name of the hospital, they started collaborating with the bag maker, and they started a marketing campaign where they said, we are now concerned about the spine of your children, and they started a huge marketing campaign which became very successful. So meaning we can collaborate with anybody. It's not that we have to collaborate with only doctors. See, if you see a large organization like LV Prasad, they have grown because they have these multiple collaboration with multiple people. For example, they collaborate with Microsoft in developing that artificial intelligence. They have Google collaboration. They have collaboration with the equipment manufacturers. They collaborate with NGOs. They collaborate with government. They collaborate with schools. Lot of collaborations which are quite different, not only with doctors. So even as a smaller hospital, can we collaborate with the diabetologists? Can we collaborate with physicians? Can we collaborate with opticians? So maybe can we even collaborate with organizations, charitable or non-profit business organizations? So if you think of collaboration, I think that is when you can really also scale up what you want to do. So from skill to scale, if you want to move, I think collaboration is the way forward, and collaboration with multiple non-competing different entities also is possible. So I think this is also an important slide, basically from Naval Ravikant. So when you are working for somebody, you are renting your time. So you are not having equity in the business. If you really want to be successful, I think whatever you have or you put your effort in, you need to own a small piece of equity. So let's say you work in an organization. Let's say even if you work in a for example, if you are working in Titan Industries, but if you have shares of Titan, I think that will give you more value than whatever you make as salary. So whenever you are thinking of working with a hospital, even if your salary is lower, but can you get a percentage of the business, say 10%, 20%. So if you are having a ownership, because when you are working, you are working for somebody else to create his brand, somebody else to create his IP, and somebody else is going to take all the name and benefit of that business. But if you are owning an equity, so let's say you even work in a charitable organization, but if you can also become a part of the trustees. So I think if you can think of those ways, that is when you create a larger organization. So whenever, I think apart from your initial 4 or 5 years of practice or working, I think if you move on from that way, wherever you work, even if you get a lower salary, but you should see either create your own organization or have equity in that organization. So it need not be, I think many of us are now working in these corporate hospitals where you don't get anything other than your salary. So maybe the salary is attractive initially, but you are actually working for them to create their brand, create that valuation. Maybe he will sell the organization for 5,000 crores, but you will still end up with the salary. But on the other hand, work with a smaller practitioner, like yesterday I was talking with one doctor in Bhavnagar. So he said, if some doctor is willing to come and work for me, I am ready to give 50% of my practice, which is already an established practice. So I would always prefer that instead of working for a larger corporate, work for somebody who can give you an equity in your business, or you create your own business where you own 100% equity. So basically you are the owner, you become the investor, and that brand also, you are going to build that brand which will be valuable. Because at the end of the day, many doctors, they keep working for 30 years, 35 years, but are they able to create valuation for that brand? Unless it's being sold to some corporate, and corporates don't buy all hospitals. Corporate buy organizations of particular scale. Only if you're having, say, 50 lakh turnover in a month, something like that is what is attractive for them. So on the other hand, if your children are not becoming ophthalmologists, you are working all your life for something, but in the end you are not able to monetize on that. So some optician in your place may have this optical shop which he can sell for, say, a larger amount, but we may not be able to sell the practice. We see many doctors, they create something, they work day in and day out of their practice, but at the end of the day, after they die, if children are not ophthalmologists, they just get the depreciated value for the equipment. So I think it's important to think about exit options and legacy creation also. So own equity. So if I were, I would like to work for somebody, I will say, okay, can I have a percentage of this organization? So, and you need to create, either you should be a good leader, or you should create a leadership, or you should be able to employ leaders who can inspire your organization, have this culture created, and the leadership should be able to communicate the vision of the organization to all the employees. So this can be even a small clinic, and you are the leader in the clinic, but are you inspiring your people every day, and are you having a culture which is in your organization, and are you communicating your vision to the people working for you? I think it's also important. So creating that leadership. And you cannot do anything alone. I think the biggest problem with the doctors is we think that we should be the smartest person in our organization, but actually if you are the smartest person, it is not that you are building a larger organization. You should be able to employ people who are more skillful, more smarter than you, better doctors than you, and you should be able to manage them. And unless you have a team, you cannot build a larger organization. So the team as you have a bigger and bigger team, I think you are going closer towards building a very large organization. And understanding the difference between what is a team. Team is somebody who always think together, and they are all thinking about the growth of that organization. But a staff is somebody who just works for a salary. So are you really having a team, or are you having staff who are working for you? So this is also important. And establishing these systems and processes, having a software, having good regulatory systems in our clinic, spending a little bit of money to have that digital infrastructure is also important, and standard operating procedures. So even if another doctor comes into your hospital, he should be able to do whatever there without you being there to guide them. So if you want to build a larger organization, I think systems and processes are also important. Finally, you have to think about, okay, I am building this hospital, and what is it going to be? Is it there are two things we work for. One is a legacy creation. So will this organization tell my name even after I die? And that is a kind of a legacy creation. And second thing is valuation, because valuation, what kind of a value my organization will garner, and whether my children can get that money, or children can get the benefit of whatever I have created. And for this legacy and valuation, you need to have a good management team. You need to manage that management team, and that management team should be properly managing the business. And finally, you should become invisible in your business. So what I mean by invisibility is, like, even if people come to your hospital, they should not be asking you for your name, but they should be coming for that organization. So for example, LV Prasad, nobody goes and asks for Dr. G. N. Rao. They go for the name of LV Prasad. Or Apollo, nobody goes for any particular name. So if you have to move from skill to scale, you have to slowly become invisible from that whole organization. And then the organization should get the name forward, and you should become invisible. And most of the time in our practices, we are the most visible person. If the doctor is not there, nobody comes to the hospital. It is deserted. So how do you think of becoming invisible? So, and leave that ego that I should be the person who is smart in the hospital, I should be running everything. If I am not there, everything should get closed. Then you are not creating this skill to scale legacy creation. So it's important to think that way also. So these are my contact information. I hope I have not offended you in any way, and maybe I would have if I can create some different thought process even in 4 or 5 people, I am sure the purpose of coming from Chennai is solved.
Fantastic. Very nicely put up, Dr. Senthil. And what you just said, legacy, is